Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Os77's commentary number 19. And let me tell you, it's been such a long time since I did my last commentary, about a week or so. And to me, that is the world. When you're in the midst of producing so many I usually try to aim for about 2-3 a week actually producing, and of course I post 2 a week. You're kind of caught up in the routine, so okay, I'll do a commentary here, I'll go do a commentary there, but then when you are deprived of them for a while, it's like, geez, I have not been able to do one, and you just feel like something's missing. So, now, today's game is from EliteLegend, who was featured in the last game, and I've decided, quite intuitively so, that I will have a build-up to the epic matchup I mentioned in the last game. So that epic matchup was a TVP, Zapper, and EliteLegend as their best races the morning after episode number 18's game. And so, no excuses, a true measure of both players' skill. So now this game is, I decided I'll do one game from EliteLegend, and then in the next episode I'll do one game from Zapper, and then episode number 21 will be the Ultimate Showdown. So we'll kind of have a build up, in the red corner, in the blue corner, over the course of this episode and the next, and then in episode number 21 we'll see how the two are pitted up as their best races. So nonetheless, let us get to introducing our players. You all know that EliteLegend is a blue Terran player here, spawning at the top, I would say top right at, yes, actually the top right of Shadow Temple, up against Islos, who is the red Protoss player. So we have seen a number of TVPs on this channel, and as I just mentioned, episode number 21 will surely be a TVP. So I know it's quite common, it's my best win rate, and that has nothing to do with the fact that I've casted this many. Just throwing that out there, my best win rate is by far against Terran. I'm not even sure why, but I win almost probably 8 out of 10 of my games. Against Zerg, it's like more like 3 out of 10. I'm terrible against Zerg, and PvP's probably 4 out of 10 or 5 out of 10. PvP goes back and forth. It really depends. As you saw in episode number 17, I believe, it was a back and forth kind of game, and it just came down to transitions. So I love making all these references to past episodes. It's pretty interesting just to kind of have an expansive history to my channel and just be able to reference so many different games. So we do have the Cybernetics core here, routinely following a gateway, and just relatively on-time pro production, and an interesting fast expand from EliteLegend. So against the Protoss player, for a Terran to go for the fast expand after not even a completed wall is quite interesting. I'm sure Islos will see this here. Let us see if... Yeah, oh, yeah, it's just 1 and 2. I thought you actually had to type the first letter of their name, like I or E, and I was like, whoa, that's a little weird. So his perspective, he did see that fast expand, so all of a sudden we have probably an eyebrow raised from our Protoss player. He's going about his regular strategy. No warp gate just yet. He does have the means to produce a warp gate, so he is going for just this quick zealot. I'm not sure when that warp gate will finish. Now he does have it in production, so here is the Robo facility, common against Terran. I often put it to use, and it helps me emerge victorious almost 8 out of 10 times. Again, these win rates are extremely rough, but I have full confidence. I do so well against Terran, okay against Protoss, and abysmally against Zerg. It's just I always lose to the early pressure, and I'm sure a lot of you Protoss players can speak your minds about this. Feel free to in the comment section. Do you go for the Forge Fast Expand? Does this work well late game? Can you hold off against Muta pressure? Please feel free to give your opinions. I'd like to see what you have to say. So we have another command center, so a double fast expand. Extremely interesting from EliteLegend. Let me tell you, from a StarCraft player's perspective and from a person's perspective, very interesting guy. EliteLegend is a good friend of mine. And right now, as I speak, he is playing hockey. I just was doing this commentary as probably a 15-minute relief, because I originally was to go to my game today, but sadly could not make it. This whole week has been jam-packed from Monday to today with work, 4 projects, a number of just tests and quizzes to study for, and of course the Canadian Improv Games. At my school, I am part of the improv team, and my junior team from St. Thomas High School in Montreal, we won the junior tournament on Friday night, so that was extremely exciting. But I also had to practice for that all this week. We've been practicing for the past 2 months now, so this whole week has been so strenuous. I just got off. I'm just doing this commentary as a 1-hour break to a massive amount of math homework, so I sadly could not make it to my game, and EliteLegend is actually playing as I cast this, so I found that quite odd. Nonetheless, we just have this finally a completed wall here, but 2 barracks and a command center. Not sure when EliteLegend will put this third command center to use, but we have a sizable force here from islos, and I like the fast Warp Prism. As I've mentioned in some of my earliest replays, few Protoss players put Warp Prisms to use. They're excellent mobile pylons. As you can see here, islos can just transport it and phase it as he needs to warp in units on the go. So he is going for the expansion here at the 7 minutes. So that was actually an insanely early expansion from EliteLegend. He will benefit from a huge economy as a result, but I'm not entirely sure he'll be able to hold this pressure off. So an Immortal does take down, I believe that was the Scout SCV, as EliteLegend is trying to keep a tab on what kind of a army his opponent's massing. So islos does have the one Immortal finished, one producing. Now he has the Warp Prism, so perhaps he will load up his forces. That would be quite interesting and feasible entirely. Let's see if he does so. It looks like he will go for this drop on the edge of the base. Extremely smart play here from islos, trying to unload them, but that doesn't entirely work. So EliteLegend is moving this orbital command. Will he see that Warp Prism? No. His vision just inching on the end there. And, oh, he could probably see that phase if he really looked hard, but I doubt he could do so. So we do have a force amassing in EliteLegend's base from islos. He has 3 tech labs in production on his various... Oh, so I apologize for switching the view there. On his various add-ons. And now a force field here will prevent Marines from returning. Extremely well placed by islos. Absolutely... Wow. Completely commendable. 2 engineering bays in production here. 1 over here, and not sure where the other is, but let us follow the action. This Immortal completely fending off against the Marines, and now 3 more Zealots going to come in. So this is looking very bleak for EliteLegend. This Immortal and Stalker just completely getting to work. No, nothing else in production though from islos. So he does have the second Immortal just hanging about. I'm sure he's too focused on warping in more units, but he still only has the 3-gate Robo and has not touched this expansion. So a matter of transitions. EliteLegend still does have his 2 expansions. He's lifting one off here. So we'll have to see if islos is able to completely destroy his opponent. As we saw in last episode ZVZ, EliteLegend takes his time to GG. The game to him is not over until it's over, just like in hockey, which is one of the #1 rules. The game is not finished until it's finished. So he's trying to micro these Hellions here to do some damage to the Zealots. 1 Marine will sit pretty in this bunker, wiping out some Zealots. Mule's moving into repair, so the Zealots may actually be fended off, and the Warp Prism has left. I believe it must have been... No, it was not destroyed. It must have just been pushed out or intentionally moved out. So now EliteLegend is sustaining massive damage to all of his structures. He still does have somewhat of an economy though, calling down a Mule usefully so. He is going to raise the second supply depot and the rest of his buildings. So these Zealots now rendered almost entirely useless. They are. So these 2 Hellions have to be microed. Well, 1 falls and the other gets surrounded. So not the best Hellion control there from EliteLegend. He's just producing a surplus of workers. He has 1 of his command centers lifting off and another command center lifting off. So although islos will be getting to work on his opponent's unlift-offable structures, I'm actually quite astonished at EliteLegend's persistence. He's still in this game. I'm not ready to count him out. He has a pretty solid economy. If he can get some structures underway and hold off this little natural area with a nice encampment and well placed barracks, which they are indeed all pretty well controlled. No single drop could hit his forces unless from behind. So a drop from behind could do quite a number on EliteLegend's forces. So islos here, double the population, and I'm not sure why these Zealots are just sitting here. They could easily move down and inflict some punishment on EliteLegend, and islos completely has the economy to support it. So he has this forge finally finishing. A large lack of upgrades for our Protoss player. The Observer absolutely nowhere, so he needs to watch out for using his Robo facility units. He has 2 forges, finally ground weapons level 1 producing, and a robotics bay. So he does have 5 gates, so I commend the transition here. And the Warp Prism will scout 1 orbital command and most probably another. No, it does not move over here, so that is somewhat of a mistake, as had islos scouted this orbital command as well, you would have been able to see another command center. So EliteLegend, really intuitive in his play. He warps in two Stalkers and a Zealot here, so the SCVs are forced away, and I'm not sure if, well, EliteLegend will surely be able to hold off that with this amount of bunkers, but I'm just not sure if he has the forces to hold off this base, and if it is revealed that Islos could do some damage. So now, let us look at EliteLegend. He has a fusion core in production. Not sure how I missed that, but suddenly a fusion core and a couple of Tech Lab starports. So this was a complete blunder on my part. I apologize for having missed it. We do have upgrades in production from EliteLegend, but from Islos, but battle cruisers and banshees. That is crazy. What do you do when your opponent gets a Warp Prism in your base and you're a Terran player and they completely destroy your main? You get battle cruisers, says EliteLegend, and let's see how he does. He's coming up to he's only 15 population down from Islos. Just minutes ago he was 30, so we do have extended thermal lance and a Colossus and ground weapons and armor level 1 producing for him, so he does have somewhat well-placed transitions, 2 more gateways, so he has a quite well macroed play overall from Islos, but he has not abused this observer vision, because had he seen the battle cruisers and banshees, he most definitely would not have invested in a Colossus and a Robo Bay. So just some small mistakes from Islos. He's playing an excellent overall macro game, but just needed to saturate the expansion earlier. Needed to see he's finally moving workers onto that second gas at his natural, so he's almost at the exact same in terms of gas production, and he has such an excess of minerals, so these destructible rocks will soon fall. And I'm not sure if EliteLegend will decide to he will most probably reveal his build to take out these stalkers, putting pressure on his natural here. It's not at his natural location, but it is his natural expansion. So now we have 2 Vikings for EliteLegend, and he's opting for an SCV supported push. So just this paltry force from Islos. Not sure if they're going to be able to fend off 1 battle cruiser, 2 banshees, and just so many freaking SCVs. They will do so much damage and most probably repair even the battle cruisers. So, oh my god, Islos might have accidentally set his units to attack a building, because that is sometimes what happens if you accidentally click on a building. Let's say you press A, the hotkey for attack, and then you click on an opposing building, your units will not attack anything except that building. So, no offense to Islos, but that is just an awful micro mistake, and that cost him so much. He did not lose the Colossus, but he lost a few forces, and now EliteLegend is actually in the midst of destroying his opponent's base with just this massive amount of Marines. They will come under pressure from the Colossus, and Zealots flooding in. The Marines moving out to take care of some Zealots. The Colossus microed back. It has 6 kills, but now the Vikings will engage it with ease. Colossus fended back, and I'm sure EliteLegend is hoping to destroy it, as it costs a Protoss player so much. From the perspective of a Protoss player himself, when you lose a Colossus, it is huge. So there we have black macro fail from Islos, and he lost the game. Islos lost. Quite a nice little bit of tongue twisterism. And so that does conclude episode 19. A very well played game on both parts. It was a pleasure to cast. Interesting strategies and transitions from both. I just found it entirely fascinating that EliteLegend, in the face of what seemed to be a certain defeat, just was able to fend off. Islos did still have these 7 Zealots that he could have used right before EliteLegend set up an encampment here to just completely wreak havoc, and he just did not put enough pressure with these forces. Sure, he took down a couple buildings as EliteLegend pushed, but the combination of the SCVs here pushing on their opponents, wow, that was a late game all in. This battlecruiser got 7 kills. The Vikings were able to pick off the Colossus. Its runes smoldering over there. So a little bit of a late game macro mistakes there from Islos. While he was pushing on the main, he figured he had the game, so he did not fully saturate the natural, and that distracted him from this Zealot force and this Warp Prism. So I like this strategy from Islos, but overall, EliteLegend came out on top. I will see you guys in episode number 20. It has been a pleasure to cast this game. This is your host, Austin, Aus77, signing off. Good